They told him to go play with his skin color. But when a black Lamborghini pulled up in front of the school, everything changed. They said it loud enough for the whole cafeteria to hear. Go play with your skin color, Alex. The table of... White boys burst out laughing, like it was the best joke anyone had ever told. Alex, a quiet 15-year-old with deep brown skin and a sharp mind, didn't flinch. He just calmly stared at his tray of mystery meat and mashed potatoes, pretending the joke hadn't hit like a brick. He'd been hearing stuff like this ever since he transferred to Millbrook Academy, a private school with kids who wore Gucci, belts before they could drive, and had last names you'd see on hospital wings. Alex wasn't like them. He didn't wear designer brands. He didn't post weekend yacht trips on Snapchat. And most importantly, he didn't talk much. To them, silence meant weakness. One of the ringleaders, Brad, leaned over with a smirk. Bro, does your family even own a car, or do you guys just ride in the back of garbage trucks? More laughter, high fives. One kid even fake sprayed Febreze in Alex's direction. What they didn't know? Alex wasn't poor, and he definitely wasn't weak. He just didn't talk trash because his dad had taught him something different. Loud dogs bark, lions wait, but that didn't stop the bullying. In gym class, they accidentally tripped him during dodgeball. In chemistry, someone swapped his name tag with one that said Ashilex, and when he answered questions too confidently, someone would mutter, "Show off monkey." The teachers? They either didn't notice or didn't want to mess with the sons of board members and country club elites. One day, while Alex was grabbing his books from his locker, Brad and his boys walked by. "Hey, Alex," Brad called out, flipping his perfect blonde hair. "Don't be late for the cotton-picking competition today." That one burned. But Alex didn't respond. Not with words. He just smiled. Because he knew something none of them knew. Today was Friday. And Fridays meant Dad picked him up from school. Now you should know Alex's dad wasn't your average dad. His name was Jordan Ray. A former tech executive turned investor. The kind of guy who didn't say much. But when he did, entire boardrooms went silent. And he had a taste for dramatic entrances. That's why, instead of picking Alex up in a regular car, he was pulling up in something a little different. A glossy, all-black Lamborghini Aventador worth more than the entire school library. So at exactly 3:15 p.m., just as Brad and his buddies were gathered in the front courtyard pretending to be cool while waiting for their nannies and Teslas, the deep, throat-rattling roar of a V12 engine echoed down the road. Heads turned, phones came out, and then it appeared, like a spaceship made of pure muscle and money. The black Lambo glided up the curb and stopped right in front of the main gate. The doors went up and Jordan Ray stepped out in a tailored black suit, sunglasses, and the kind of quiet confidence that makes people check their posture without realizing. He walked around the car, opened the passenger door, and nodded once. Alex. Alex, still holding his backpack, walked up calmly, ignoring the stunned faces around him, and got into the car without saying a word. One of Brad's friends whispered, "Bro, who is that?" Alex smiled, buckled in, and said just loud enough for them to hear through the open door, "That's my dad. You were saying something about garbage trucks?" Then the door closed. The engine roared, and they were gone, like kings. The next few days didn't get better for Alex. In fact, they got worse. It started small. Snide remarks in the hallway, stares that lasted a little too long. But soon the comments got bold, meaner, louder. At lunch, one of the white boys, Blake, the ringleader, leaned across the table with a smirk that reeked of arrogance. "You know what I don't get?" he said, loud enough for half the cafeteria to hear. "How someone like you even got into this school? You lost, bro? Or just here on a diversity discount?" The table roared with laughter. Alex didn't respond. He stirred his spaghetti like it was way more interesting than them. But inside, it stung. Not because it was true, but because no one said a word. Not a teacher, not a friend, not even the lunch lady. He quietly picked up his tray and walked out, but it didn't stop there. In gym class, they accidentally hit him with dodgeballs, twice. In the locker room, someone scribbled "Tar Baby" on his gym locker with a Sharpie. And during science, one kid whispered, "Dude, why don't you go play in the dark? You'd blend right in." The worst part? Even their parents got in on it. One afternoon, as Alex waited at the school gates to be picked up, a group of moms stood nearby gossiping about a PTA meeting. "I just don't get why that kind of kid is even here," one of them said, sipping her overpriced iced coffee. Another added, "It's supposed to be Ridgewood Academy, not some social experiment." They laughed, loudly. Alex heard every word. Still, he stayed calm. He had his mom's eyes, but his dad's strength. And he remembered what his dad always told him. Let them laugh. Let them talk. When they see the truth, their mouths will close on their own. But nothing could prepare Ridgewood for what happened next. That Friday, school let out like normal. The kids poured out into the courtyard, comparing test scores, planning parties, and flexing on who'd get picked up in the fanciest car. Blake stood in the circle of his cronies, pointing at rides as they pulled up. Mercedes, BMW, another Tesla. "Dude, where's your mom's Uber, Alex?" Laughter again. Alex just stood there, hands in his hoodie, silent. The usual, until a sound changed everything. A deep, growling engine echoed down the street. Heads turned, conversations stopped, and then it appeared, sleek, matte black, roaring, like a beast out of a superhero movie. A Lamborghini Aventador. It glided to a stop right in front of Alex. The door lifted up, scissor style. Out stepped a man in a tailored suit, sunglasses, and an air of command that made even the teachers straighten up. He looked directly at Alex and said, "Hey, champ, ready to roll?" The courtyard froze. Someone whispered, "Wait, that's his dad?" Another kid dropped their phone. Alex smirked, the first real smile all week. "Yeah, Dad, let's go." He climbed in without looking back. And just before the door closed, his dad glanced at the stunned crowd, gave a calm nod, and said, "Next time you judge someone by their skin, make sure your soul's cleaner than theirs." Then the Lambo peeled off, leaving nothing but silence and the smell of rich embarrassment in the air. Friday afternoon, dismissal. The final bell rang, and the halls of Northbrook Academy erupted in a familiar blend of chatter and scuffed sneakers. Students streamed toward the Circle Drive, already pulling out their phones, jostling for spots, eager to be the first to spot their ride. The school lot was a parade of privilege, matte gray Teslas, pearlescent white BMWs, and the occasional custom-wrapped Audi idling at the curb. As always, Tanner and his crew leaned against his dad's brand-new Range Rover, smirking and trading half-hearted insults like currency. "Yo, where's your Uber, Alex?" Tanner barked, spotting him near the school doors. "He take the scenic route through the projects again?" Alex didn't answer. He never did. Words didn't work on Tanner, and even if they did, silence stung sharper. But before the next insult could land, they heard it. A low growl. Not aggressive, not even loud, just deliberate, confident. Heads turned. Phones came up. Around the corner came a black Lamborghini Huracan, gliding like it owned the pavement. Midnight finish, gold brake calipers, tinted windows so dark they looked like mirrors. It didn't roar, it purred, and somehow that made it louder. The crowd hushed, jaws slackened. The Lamborghini came to a clean stop right in front of the school's stone pillars. For a second, nobody moved. Then the doors lifted, scissor style, like wings. And that's when the crowd truly froze. Out stepped a tall black man, broad shoulders, black-on-black suit, polished shoes, not a wrinkle on him, and those mirrored military shades, sharp enough to cut glass. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just stood there, commanding, like the air waited for him to breathe. Few students whispered, "Yo, who is that?" "No way that's Alex's dad. No way." Tanner's laughter faltered. His smirk twitched. Even his crew backed off a step. The man took off his sunglasses slowly, scanning the front steps. Alex emerged from the building, backpack slung over one shoulder, calm face. Not surprised, not smug, like he knew all along. The man, his father, moved. First, he walked to the passenger side and pulled the door open like a chauffeur for royalty. "You coming, son?" he said. Deep voice, unshakable. Alex gave the smallest nod. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He slid into the passenger seat like he'd done it 100 times. because he had. And just before the car took off, right as it turned and angled, toward the exit, the crowd got a glimpse of the license plate, GRDN1. Whispers erupted. Wait, Guardian 1? What does that mean? Bro, that's military. Like, high up. Inside the Lamborghini, Alex peeked out the window and saw Tanner still standing there, still stunned. The look on his face? Checkmate. The Lamborghini pulled onto the open road, engine humming like a held breath. Inside, Alex let out a slow exhale. Thanks for coming, Dad. His father gave a half smile. You hold your head up? Always. They sped off, sunlight sliding off the hood like water. Behind them, the school faded into the rear view. But nobody watching that moment would forget it anytime soon. The moment first period started, the halls of Northbrook buzzed louder than the morning bell. Whispers whipped through locker rows like wildfire, each retelling more dramatic than the last. That was his dad? Bro, that car was like a spaceship. He's got to be some kind of government agent or something. By lunch, the story had mutated into legend. According to one version, Alex's father was a billionaire tech mogul. In another, he'd rescued world leaders and owned 4 Lamborghinis, each in a different color of the flag. But the truth? That hit harder than fiction. Alex's father wasn't just successful. He was a decorated Air Force pilot, known in military circles for flying into danger when others turned back. He'd led critical missions overseas, served in classified ops, and now consulted for national security agencies. The car? Not just a luxury toy, a gift from the military community in honor of decades of sacrifice, bravery, and service. He wasn't rich because he got lucky. He was respected because he earned it. And just like that, the students who once rolled their eyes at Alex now couldn't look away. The same ones who whispered behind his back, they leaned in now, asking him what it was like to ride in a Huracan, what his dad was like, whether they could come over, whether he'd ever thought about joining ROTC. One even offered to trade Fortnite skins if he could just sit in the car. But Alex? He didn't post a single thing on social media. No selfies with the Lambo, no captions flexing the license plate, no shady reposts of memes roasting Tanner. He walked through the same front doors, same pace, same backpack with the broken zipper. But this time, his head sat a little higher, his shoulders a little straighter. Not out of arrogance, out of peace. Because the truth had finally spoken louder than the rumors. At break, Tanner approached him, alone. The swagger in his walk felt forced, his voice trying too hard to sound casual. Yo, Alex, man, he said with a shaky grin. That was crazy on Friday, huh? Your dad's cool. Real cool. Maybe sometime I could, chill with you guys or something. No hard feelings? Alex didn't react right away. He just looked at him, really looked. And in that moment, Tanner seemed smaller, not physically, but in weight, in presence. And Alex said with quiet clarity, I didn't need a car to prove anything. You just needed to open your eyes. No insults, no revenge, just truth. Tanner blinked, stunned, then gave a weak laugh like he didn't hear what he just heard. But the message landed, and Alex walked away, silent, strong, and seen. The vibe at Northbrook shifted like a storm had passed and left behind clear skies. For the first time, teachers actually stood in the halls during passing periods, not just to look busy, but to watch, to listen, to make sure what had happened to Alex wouldn't happen again. Some of the students who once stayed silent started speaking up. When someone muttered a racist joke in gym class, another kid, not even a friend of Alex's, cut them off. Not cool, man, he said. Just 3 words. But they landed like a punch. Something about seeing Alex rise changed the rules. The silence that used to protect the bullies, it broke. And Alex? He didn't need revenge. He didn't throw Tanner's words back in his face or bask in the sudden attention. Because when the truth walks into a room wearing a black suit and mirrored shades, it speaks for itself. He focused on school, on his future, on legacy. But people kept talking, and not in whispers anymore. A few days later, a student had uploaded a shaky video of that Friday pickup, the Lamborghini pulling up, the doors lifting, Alex stepping inside, and that legendary plate, GRDN1. Within hours, the clip hit Instagram, then TikTok, then Twitter. By Monday, it was viral. Millions watched. Millions felt it. The story hit blogs, comment sections, and YouTube channels like a tidal wave of justice and awe. And when Alex was interviewed by a local podcast, one that usually talked about sneakers and skate parks, he said something that would stick for years. You don't have to yell to be powerful. Sometimes silence and a Lamborghini say it all. People printed it on hoodies. Teachers quoted it in assemblies. Even the district shared the video as part of an anti-bullying campaign, because Alex wasn't just the quiet black kid anymore. He became a symbol of what happens when you stay rooted in who you are, even when no one claps for it. Symbol of what real strength looks like. Not in showing off, but in showing up. And while some people changed overnight, the real ones knew this moment had been a long time coming. The school never forgot that week. Neither did the internet. And, if you're reading this, wondering how to face your own bullies, wondering if silence is enough, or if you need to scream just to be seen, remember Alex. He didn't rise by yelling louder. He rose by knowing his worth and letting the world catch up. If this story moved you, don't scroll by. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment, Guardian 1, if you believe silence can be power. Follow for more stories that shine a light where it's most needed, because sometimes one quiet voice can drive change louder than 100 shouts.